Hello and welcome to the Bricecast. I am Brice and I'll be bringing through all the Call of Duty esports action in the next hour. But joining me here, and the reason that I am so happy to do two episodes this week, Hastro, Mike Rufail, obviously, I've forgotten your new position because you've changed Dallas Empire, but how are you?
I'm good, man. So we haven't talked in a while,
Yeah,
but I'm very good and very happy as chief gaming officer now.
that's what it is. That's what it
It's been
is.
nice. It's been nice to focus on a lot of the things that I used to do in the past and not be on conference calls all day or in meetings all day. So it's nice.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. I am very glad to hear it. So, uh, we have a ton to talk about, Mike, because obviously there is a huge year for the CDL. You guys have won the CDL, and then there's a format change, and then there's a player releasing. So we better start with the first year of the CDL because the last time I spoke to you was very early on in that process. Um, how are you in regards to the first year of CDL? What are your kind of initial thoughts on its initial period?
Yeah, we're just getting started. You know, it's funny. In the past, like all the teams were just kind of in it for themselves, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't really make a lot of progress because we were always just I don't know, beholden to Major League Gaming or UMGs or you all the third party tournament providers and things, and
Yeah.
we were never really working together as teams. And now that has completely changed, and we're all working together as teams to build up a great ecosystem. So yeah, man, it's we're just getting started, and COVID happened also, and so trying to put all this stuff on while COVID was a thing is just it was a nightmare. But we had events planned in Dallas that would have blown the doors out, man. So and
Hit the
Chicago had some.
hit the bars
Chicago had
time
a
for you,
big
right?
event planned. Yeah, it was horrible, horrible to have to not have our live events, but there was nothing we could have done about it. I mean, we made the right decisions. We had to keep everyone safe, and this was the season that we were forced to play, not the one that we wanted to play.
Yeah.
But I think we did a hell of a job, and I think this league is going to be insane. This league is going to be so good in the future. We're working on it.
I mean, I agree. I think some of the positive steps. And because I came out and spoke about the COVID issue, and I have said, bear in mind this is an unprecedented global event, and I know there has been complaining from the community on certain aspects of it and stuff. And I said, look, it's always going to be a teething year, the first year of a massive change like this, anyway. I said, and then halfway through to change it to, and while I don't want to make excuses for some things, I'm sure people could improve on. I don't think the league's sitting there going, yeah, well, we nailed that 100%. We'll do nothing better next year. So I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, when you were talking about the COVID thing, I completely forgot that yours was the next live event before the lockdown kind of kicked in. Um,
Yeah.
I suspect that, behind the scenes, and I'm sure you can allude to more of this, just how chaotic it actually got, because that's, massive event changes, format changes, meetings with league owners. Like, what happened in those, month period changeover?
Oh man, I mean, it was just we were on call so much just to try and figure things out, and when you have 12 ownership groups in one call, it's not always like the easiest. Everybody's going to have different opinions from time to time, but to be honest, I'm super proud, man, to be partners with all these teams in the league. All the ownership groups really came together to make sound decisions, and yes, there were different opinions from time to time, but we're all very very experienced business people and very amicable, and everybody's getting along really well, so we were able to figure ways out things out to make this league work. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're lucky to have even been able to play this league. I mean, it was either do what we did or don't have a league at all.
Yeah, no, I can see that happening. I can see that
Don't
happening,
have a
and
season at all, sorry, a season.
yeah. No, I can see that. And obviously, I think some of the major changes were the changes to the end of the year, the big finale. It was not planned to go as it currently did, and they went, you know what? In the essence of fairness, every team is going to get a chance to represent at the World Finals and the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that we had to change format. I mean, there were so many ideas that were thrown around what we could do in format and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, we had to do the best we could. I think what we ended up with was a pretty great season. I mean, we were able to see a lot of the events as if they were happening. It was just played online, and um, it's not ideal. Like, we would have absolutely loved to have the crowd in front of us. Even our team and our players, as much as we got the router jokes and memes, thrown at us. I
That
mean,
you lent into, right?
we're pissed off that we couldn't smash everybody on land. That's what we're mad about. I mean, we would have smashed everybody on land too. So, that's how we feel.
Well, I'm sure at some point you're gonna get a chance to kind of do it again. But
Yeah, we'll
let,
do it. We'll do it again.
let's talk about the winning the world championship, right? Because this year at least is obviously always going to be significant, being the very first year of the Call of Duty League, the official franchises. We've moved over to a completely different format that was different to anything from the last decade of Call of Duty esports.
Yeah.
And Dallas Empire was one of these teams that was in contention from the very beginning, and people certainly had you up there. But at the end of the day, you guys did win the world championship, and I'm very curious to find out what you thought behind the scenes, how the reaction went down in the Dallas camp. Like, it must have been mind-blowing for you watching those final games.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, from the very beginning, we knew what we had. I mean, you saw me. There's a lot of controversy. I think in the beginning of the season, I was pretty pissed off about power rankings. When people were
Yep.
throwing power rankings out there,
Yep.
because uh, I knew what I had, right? But I've been doing this for 14 years. I'm the oldest of the old running teams in Call of Duty, and nobody's been around longer. So I just kind of knew what we had and was very confident what we had, and um, I was angry, that people were kind of throwing our team under the bus a little bit, or
Uh-huh.
kind of putting us in the shadows a little bit. And yeah, I think from the very beginning, I knew what we had, and I think throughout the season, some of our performances, we kind of beat ourselves in a couple tournaments. To be quite honest, I mean, um, the fault was really on us, and we let a couple other teams steal a couple of those events away from us. Just by our own little mistakes. I mean, we had super close games. If you go back and look at the events that we lost towards kind of the middle end of the season, um, we beat ourselves. I mean, we beat ourselves, and I rarely say that. I never have excuses.
Yeah.
Um, we beat ourselves in those games,
Yeah. Was it one?
and we should have won the last few events. I mean, straight up.
I think you took an interesting tactic at least midway through the year, because there were some roster changes that happened with our teams, but you went, no, we're going to bring in a new head coach, right? Wasn't at the beginning. You brought in Rambo Ray.
Well, to be clear, we Rambo was all from the before we even signed all the players. We knew Rambo was going to come on board.
Okay.
It just took a long time to get his visa sorted out, and he was also working, for Sledgehammer. So we had to go through a process to transfer his visa from. Essentially, we had to get permission from Activision Blizzard to take him, and then on top of that, we had to transfer his visa, and that took a long time. And so we knew from the beginning Ray was going to be our head coach and GM. So just to clarify that,
I know
he
that's
only
interesting.
joined late in the season because of his visa.
Okay, I like that. That's something that I didn't know before, to be fair. Like, I assumed that you guys, maybe we could do with a bit more structure. But the idea that you were going to bring Rambo back into that envious family and now the Dallas Empire family is kind of crazy to me, because, like, obviously he was a big part of it for a long time. Right, one of the main.
Yeah, we knew before the season started that Ray was coming to be our guy.
Okay, that's kind of cool. So,
Mhm.
was there any point during? Because obviously, I imagine you watched the World Championship, right? Like, you're a COD guy anyway. You're sitting there and you've got a lot of stakes in it because Dallas Empire are right there at the cusp. When did you know? Like, was it you didn't know until you basically the final map went, or did you sit there and go, they've got this?
Yeah. So just to give you some background, I never in my career had I had to get this kind of experience when I'm watching or working with my team
Yeah.
during the World Championship. I'm always really involved with our teams in the weeks or months leading up to a World Championship. I always, integrate myself with the team a lot more during that time.
Yeah.
So this time around, what ended up happening was, um, the matches were delayed because of booting, right? And
Yeah.
just they wanted to maintain the competitive integrity. So Ray and I were actually in a team speak with the team
Yeah.
in our team speak, their comm server, and we couldn't watch the gameplay.
Oh.
So all we could do is sit there and listen to the team while they're in their live match. Dude, it was so stressful, man, because like the players aren't saying what the score is, right? They're
Yeah.
not giving us score updates. We can't see the gameplay. We don't know if they're in the lead or down. S&Ds, it was easy. because like, they would celebrate after every round they won and be like, oh, good try, on the rounds we lost. So we knew the score, but in the hard points and dawn, we didn't know if we were up or down, and it was just a shit show, man. I mean, my heart, I can't tell you guys, I have gray hairs coming in on my chin now from this past COD champs because, um, yeah, we were just like, Ray and I's hearts were just like about to explode trying to figure out if we were in the lead or not. But to answer your question, when we won that first map, we went up to, well, I was super confident. I was like, all right, our comms are on point. Um, Ray's got a good handle on the game plan and really got the guys prepped. And I kind of knew after map 2, and then it was just like we won map 3, and then what, or game 2 that we won, we got 2-0 lead, then we got a 3-0 lead, and a 4-0 lead, and at 4-0 it was like, this is over. Everybody was like, this is over. We got this. Even though we dropped the next map, everybody was still cool and calm, and was like, we're winning this thing.
That's awesome. I mean, I didn't even think of that actually. That you would have been essentially listening to radio Call of Duty, but not radio Call of Duty with somebody explaining the action to you. Just the sometimes unintelligible kind of screaming of players to rotate, and you're probably sitting there going, "Does he mean rotate? Or are they in the lead? Is that a good rotate? It's getting fast and frantic, and you have no idea that's a good or bad thing."
Yeah, well, Ray and I were like in a separate Discord chat together, like voice chat, so we could talk to each other.
Okay.
We couldn't talk to the players in the middle of the game. We could talk to them in between rounds, or in between maps. But in the middle of a live game, like we couldn't talk to them. So Ray and I are sitting there talking to each other, like, do we have the lead right now? I think we have the lead. Ray would be like, I think we're up 30 to 40 points. I'd be like, yeah, I think that's right. So that's all we could do.
That's crazy, man. I can't even
Yeah.
imagine like the stress of trying to watch Call of Duty like that when you got so much on the line.
Oh, it was stressful.
You had to play
stressful.
both Atlanta and Chicago. Obviously, some rivalries in these teams. You are essentially the big three, and also it's worth bearing in mind. I pointed this at the start of the season. Legacy teams, who I said had an advantage coming into this year because you guys do know Call of Duty and therefore should be held to a higher standard. And obviously, those teams did hold that higher standard, in my opinion. Was it? Did it mean more, bearing in mind that you beat Chicago Huntsman? I know you're very good friends with Hex, and obviously Atlanta FaZe, who you've been kind of battling all year long as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, we had the hardest schedule all year. Period. I don't know if there's like one of the analysts did stats on it or anything, but I'm pretty sure, like I'm almost positive we had the hardest schedule, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't even close. Like if you actually total up the matches that we played, we had the toughest strength of schedule all year. And honestly, I think it just prepared us more, like that. A lot of teams, like almost, I mean, every team wants the easiest schedule. That's the way they always look at it. Our team really didn't complain about it at all. And that's why I don't even think many people will realize that we had the hardest schedules, because our players didn't bitch about it or complain. We just played the toughest teams all year, and it made us better, and then being able to like get wins over Atlanta and Chicago, through the year, it worked out well for us. I mean, we definitely wanted to beat those teams, and we knew that they were both strong, super strong teams. And so getting the wins over the quality teams means that we cement our legacy. Nobody can really say we didn't deserve it.
No, I 100%. I think maybe the biggest shock, and you've already touched on this a little bit, the biggest shock for a lot of people is how ridiculously well prepared Dallas Empire looked heading into that final. And I had Chance on here just a few days ago, and we mentioned it too, and we said it looked like two different levels, right? It looked like these people have been just going at it.
Hold on 1 second, Bricey.
Okay.
I'm in a podcast. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, so we were saying, that we thought the preparation at very least for Dallas Empire looked like it was above some of the other teams here. And I'm guessing that's something you had been looking to set out, or had the teams in a kind of a good place to be not only coachable but prepared as they could be.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't think if we had a better coach, or I don't think if we had another coach, we would have had the same success. I mean, maybe the players would come through. We still would have won, but not in like the dominating fashion that we did it in. And Ray really had a lot of respect from the guys, and there are very few people, if anybody else in the world right now, that could come in and command that kind of respect from pro Call of Duty players coming to coach them.
Yeah,
And
I can't disagree with that. Ray is a legend, and I know from and this goes back way back when you had the Battle of the Blue Envy House. Obviously, I saw Ray kind of work behind the scenes then when the Envious team was playing TCM and discussed strategy, and I can only imagine he's got better at it with time as it's gone on. So I have to ask you, and this is kind of similar topic here, but when you got that win, is there any particular way you kind of celebrated with the team? Have you got a party plan with the guys? Like, what is the Empire doing to celebrate being world champions?
man, we really did build like a family with this team, you know. And in my opinion, we're like totally a family at this point. So yeah, like we were able to get a little celebrating in the evening we won. Everybody came to the HQ and we popped some bottles of champagne, enjoyed the moment. Everybody went over to Clay's house afterward and hung out. And you know, that was special and a special feeling. Just it was just such a good feeling being with the guys after we won. But we're planning something really special for them in the next couple weeks. So I'm sure we'll put out some pictures and things. But you know, my business partner Ken Hirsch, he's planning something really special for them. We have a event planning company working on it, and
Oh
we're going to do
wow!
something special for the team.
Oh, I like the sound of that because there was something I was looking at with the rings because the Kansas City Chiefs also just got their rings out as well, and I quite like the Call of Duty League ones, but obviously it's not the Call
Yeah,
of Duty League one's not customized straight away to the team's
it will be.
identity.
They will be.
Are they going to be
Uh,
signed? What happens to the ring
yeah.
then?
So our rings are special ordered. They're all custom made. Um,
Okay.
so they will have the Dallas Empire on the side and like the names of the player or the staff member on the other side, on the side of the rings.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So we do get to customize all of our rings.
Oh,
It's pretty neat.
that's fantastic. So, also, I've got to ask you. You've mentioned the new thing this year. One of the new things because they added a lot for this World Championship. The throne. The throne. Obviously, you get the very first throne. You're putting it into I'm guessing the facility, or are you taking it home?
We're putting it in our HQ. Yeah. So that I think that gets delivered to us in about 3 weeks or so. Um, and it's like engraved with all the names of everybody on the team and some other cool like statistics and stuff on it. I don't know. It's like this really crazy designer that is building that throne for us. So yeah, we're putting that in HQ. We'll probably keep it out in the lobby for a little while. So when people come visit the office in the HQ, they can sit in it and take pictures and so on. But eventually, I think it'll end up in the Empire training room.
As a kind of a reminder to this is what hard work brings you.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, fair enough. I think fair enough. All right, let's again.
Somebody in the chat asked if we get the Jordans too. Yeah, yeah, I'm getting a pair of those
I was
Jordans.
gonna say,
That's
I
right.
wondered if you got the same Jordans.
Yeah, we're getting the Jordans. Yeah. There are a lot of people getting the Jordans, so we're good.
I
Stro gets a pair.
I
I get
actually
a
like
pair of
that.
them.
I like
Yeah,
that because I've always said, the rings are great, but I've always said, the more stuff you can give players for that moment, the better, because people are going to talk about it. We spoke about the throne, the Jordans. I think there's a watch if you're MVP. There's one other thing you get right this year, and I can't remember what it is.
we
Um,
get the ring, we get the
yeah,
thrones, or we get the rings, the throne, the Jordans, and the trophy.
and the trophies. But yeah, like it's obviously it's from my view it's value add because these players are always going to have these mementos of the ring. Sometimes that you see players at events with it, like either put it on a necklace or they bring it around with them. I don't know whether anyone's going to wear the Jordans. That's been a big hot topic of conversation about people whether they're going to be
Yeah,
scared to wear them.
no. I'm not wearing those. I'm not wearing them.
Not even
Not wearing
like
them.
just
We're keeping
once,
those
just once to
in the
flex.
trophy case. Yeah. Can't do that, man. The second somebody like steps on them, gets mud on them or something, like, oh my god, I'd be so heated. No way. Never wearing those.
You know
Those
how
are
much I had
just
to pay for the team to get
those are
these.
staying on display for sure. Not going anywhere. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, from the good times to and these two topics kind of intertwine, right? And it's one of the main reasons I said, let's get you on the podcast. You've done a massive thing, first year of CDL. You've won the world championship, and then 24 hours later, you're back in the news cycle because it's gone 5v5 to 4v4. It's a big change. I'm not going to say an unwelcome change because, for my mind, it has its positives and its negatives. Obviously, without expansion team, I do take that as a negative. But let's talk about 5v5 to 4v4 first of all, and then
Hmm.
we'll talk about how it affected the Empire.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Um, so first of all, right, there is this argument. There are these two arguments going on right now. It is the benefit of the game for 4v4 versus the people going, oh, it's cost cutting. And thing is, I believe it's both, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise, because truthfully, we have just had a global pandemic, and return on investments and businesses are a thing, as much as people would like to pretend that we just live in this world with infinite money. It kind of makes sense, and for my personal feeling, I think that there was a good part of cost cutting, but also, they knew that like this cost cutting method, in my opinion, did have a silver lining of bringing it back to a format that some people like. But the reason I wanted to ask you about it, Stroke, is I want to know your feelings on it, like your rationale. You've
Yeah,
been in the
I
trenches, right?
disagree. I disagree. I mean, look, I think 80% of this decision
Uh,
was based on player feedback. Straight up. Like, I don't know where this whole cost cutting thing came in. I mean, I know like Krim talked about it a little bit, but I think he's wrong. Like, look, we were fully committed in our budget for next year to
okay.
have 5 players and 2 bench players. Like, we didn't care. We never complained about that one time. I don't think many of the other ownership groups complained about it at all. It
Uh-huh.
was literally driven by the players, straight up. I
Okay.
mean, straight up. Like, there was so much discussion about 4v4 and from the players, and they're the ones who drove that to happen. Straight up. The owners would have been just fine playing 5v5.
It's
Just fine.
interesting. It's interesting
And
because
and maybe a couple ownership groups wanted to save some money and gave that feedback back to the league. I think what ended up happening was the players complained about 5v5 so much and wanted 4v4 so much
yeah,
that then the owners went, well, okay, we would end up saving some money, so that makes sense. And 9 out of the 12 teams just didn't have a chance to win the events, you know? So they're like, yeah, screw it. Let's change it to
yeah.
4v4 and maybe they get a better opportunity to be competitive.
No, I can see that.
So that's what happened, man. I mean, straight up, like, I don't think it had much to do with the owners at all. I think it was really the players who wanted to see a return back to 4v4. They've been complaining about it for a while. And then the ownership groups kind of gave them what they wanted while enjoying maybe a little bit of the benefit from that. Because one, most of the teams just weren't that competitive and saw it as an opportunity to be more competitive with
Yeah.
us in Atlanta and Chicago and a couple of the other teams that were at the top, and then also saw it last probably as a cost saving measure. So I think the cost saving was like the third aspect of it. The players was asking for it was number one. The fact that the other teams could be a little more competitive and saw that as an opportunity was number two, and then the third factor was, yeah, maybe cutting measures for a few teams.
Okay, I mean that is an interesting rebuttal on that, because obviously, and I'm
It's not a
sure you're
rebuttal. That's the way it is.
no, no, no,
That's how it happened.
that's
I'm
what I'm
telling you right now, it's
that,
fact.
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Like for me, obviously, we haven't had that. There hasn't been that viewpoint come out from any official source, and you are the most official source we
Well,
have on it, right?
you're
Being
you're
involved in
hearing it from me right
yeah,
now. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like it's because at least the news cycle in the last week, or not even a week, it's not even been that long, 5 days, has been primarily about this, and the Reddit threads and the
Yeah,
socials.
put that on Reddit. I'm telling you right now, that's what happened. Throw it on Reddit right now.
So
Like
I guess I have a couple
that's
of
what happened.
follow-up questions to that could
Okay.
kind of help clarify some things for people as well. Um, how early did those discussions take place? Like when? Because I know I've known about it for a while, at least several weeks, maybe a little bit more. I'm kind of wondering when it first kind of reared its head, so you became aware of it, because there are obviously levels to this, from Activision to the franchises, because the franchises have to be at least brought into this conversation early if they're going to make
Yeah.
a fundamental change.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know if it's my place to kind of talk about all the business behind the
Yeah.
scenes, but I mean, look, I can say that it didn't really come up too much until probably middle of the season, where we started to started to have more discussions about it, and we were asked about it a little bit, and um, yeah, I mean, I can't tell you exactly. I can't really even remember when it first started to
Yeah.
become part of the discussion, but I can tell you that our team was very adamant about keeping 5v5.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Obviously.
world champions, right?
No, no,
At
it was
that point.
before that. It was
Yeah.
long before we were world champions. I mean, that the discussion started. We were very adamant that we wanted to keep 5 versus 5.
Okay.
This is before we were even at the top of the power rankings. Like, I mean, we knew what we were creating here, and Clay is like a brother to me now, and like he's like, I consider him part of my family. Like, it was like literally being told that you have to kick a member of your family out. Like,
Yeah.
I can't even tell you guys like the tears that we shed just knowing that we had to let him go. Man, it's stupid, but
Well,
you know.
we'll talk about the clay thing in a minute because I've got like I said, I've got a few more things I've got to ask you here. Like, and it's difficult to maybe phrase this in a way. Um, so I think one of the reasons people have been upset with the change because, like, here's the thing, right? And I don't really have any skin in the game with this, not like you do with the franchises. In my opinion, 4v4 I think is a great format for Call of Duty. I've always said it. I've always thought it's a better viewership thing. I always thought it plays a little bit better so people can digest it, and it makes it easier for people to form teams, right? So I've always been, 4v4, that is the credible thing of like, thank God it's come here. The reason people are upset is obviously they are worried about professional players not having a place in the league next year, and I can understand that reasoning. And obviously it compounds the issue with no expansion teams. Is expansion teams like something you would have liked to have seen come in with this effect?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, so again, I'll reiterate that if the players hadn't said they wanted to change to 4v4, that we would still be playing 5v5. Okay?
I
So
mean, that's the
again,
main takeaway from me.
yes, it goes back to the players asking for it, right? Think about that. If the players had said we want to keep 5v5, we would have kept 5v5, right? So that is really the stem of it. And then yeah, like I personally think 5v5 is a little more entertaining for me to watch.
Okay.
And I actually think that 5v5 actually puts on more of the display of the skill of the players individually. So like, there are just opportunities for you. Think about it. Like, how many times did you see like a 4 piece in the kill feed, right? Like, how rare is that in 4v4 to see a player kill all 4 members of the other team? Never happens. In 5v5, it happened quite a lot. And you got to see players make these like crazy plays. And I love that. Like, I wanted to see, even as a player when I played professionally, I thought like it should be 5v5, and the maps were just always designed to be for more players on the map. So anyway, I for one appreciated 5v5. I liked it. I thought it should have stuck. Especially like search and destroy. I think it's just much more fun to watch 5v5. There are way more opportunities for a player to flank through the map, get through and get behind an enemy team, and that's exciting to me. But I guess other people just didn't really see it that way. I'm fairly impartial though. I wouldn't say like I'm like this big proponent for 5v5, but 4v4 is fine. It's kind of our roots and it's what we've done in the past, and a lot of players are used to it. And I'm okay with it, but
Yeah.
I just hate how it affected our team in this situation
Oh
when
yeah, I can
we had
only
the foresight to put the roster that we did together.
yeah, I can only imagine how kind of devastating it was behind the scenes for that as well. Um, I suppose, and this, admittedly, is more of a niche question, and it's probably because I'm very interested in the business side of the CDL, and I talk about it frequently on my channel and on these podcasts. And feel free to say that this hasn't been released yet or whatever. But people have been asking about the luxury tax, right? I remember speaking to you about the not problems. That's the wrong word. The intricacies of building a team in that format, right, with this luxury tax. Obviously, now with a change in personnel required, nobody said anything about the change in it. And obviously, like I'm guessing, the majority of the community probably don't care, but I know that certain people, including myself, do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, I really can't say much about
Yeah,
that other than the fact that we take care of our players, in a big way. And
yeah,
um, look, I think there has to be some kind of competitive balance tax in
uh-huh.
place because, I mean, look, it would just make it to where one team could go out and essentially sign the 5 best players or 4 best players in the game, make it all work, and sign them to very long contracts. And then how exciting would the league be, right?
Yeah,
Like, when potentially one team just goes out and dominates every year, and even then it would still be tough. But look, at the end of the day, you have to like set some guidelines on a business here because we're all spending as ownership groups a lot of money. Probably a
yeah,
lot more money than the players can really support us spending. So, it's just like the opportunities right now to make money on these teams is few and far between, and we have to take every advantage that we can as ownership groups to do that, just to support the current rates that we're paying players. And it's difficult. It's not easy, right?
yeah.
But look, every single ownership group deserves a lot of praise because they're really out there supporting these players in a huge way. And I mean, Krim was on. I can't remember what podcast he was on the other night, but it was a podcast
Yeah.
where Krim was like, "We're getting paid," like where all these players are making checks, like and that is true. Like, and I'm glad he actually said that. I love that kid, right? Like, the dude, Krim keeps it real, just so you guys know. Um, and it's true, man. The players are making a hell of a lot of money compared to what kind of the scene really supports right now. And I'm not saying that I sound biased, but I'm one of the guys that will open up the wallet, because I want to win and I want to take care of my players and I want to see them, live or see out the fullest potential that they have. So, yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, like, there have to be some kind of restrictions and guidelines to operating teams here and to allow these businesses to survive, because we want to see this league grow and we want to build it over the next
Yeah,
20 years. We want to make this huge.
yeah, I can. I actually agree totally with that, and I feel like, especially from your point of view, it kind of lines up with a lot of my thinking on this. I've always said, I kind of get this horrible torn between two places because I want the players to make very good money. At no point do I ever want players to not make good money. But at the same time, I'm always sitting there going, we also need the league to stay alive, because obviously you can't play every player a million, right? You can't just keep throwing money at them. It has to be a realistic kind of business return of investment on these players and what you're able to invest every single year. Because while obviously, all these groups that have come in and bought into this franchise, it's not unlimited money and it is a business, and you are going to have to at some point, justify that investment and ongoing investment every year, because it is not a. This is the thing that bothers me the most, right? And I'm sure, and you can weigh on this as much as you want, because I see it all the time, and it's really bugging me now. People keep calling it the 300 million league, about the fact that people go, "Oh, there's a production issue. How could this happen in the 300 million league?" I'm going, well, first of all, that's not how it works. They didn't just go and put 300 million in a pot and that's it, right? Franchises at the very minimum per year. I think it's got to be like somewhere in the range of 3 million a year just to keep it ticking along. With salaries, coaches, players, facilities.
You're
stuff,
pretty
right?
close there. Yeah.
Yeah, like, it's crazy the amount per year you have to get, and then obviously that slot in the league goes to Activision, and it goes for the life of the league. Like, do you ever see that? Because I'm sure it comes up on your timeline. It must. You must be
all the
tweeting
time.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. Like, look, I'm not trying to be rude to anybody out there who likes to speculate or put information out on the internet about the league and what we do as a business, but you really don't know much. Like, until you sit here in my shoes and you have to spend the money and plan and do the work and create the strategies and all these things for the business, then you really don't know what you're talking about. Just, you really don't. And I'm sorry, but it's just, you can't just speculate that, oh, there's $300 million in read the door. Everybody keeps coming to my glass. I have a glass window. I'm in a podcast. I'm in the office right now, so everybody's like, trying to come and talk to me. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that, if you're not involved in that side of the league and the business and the teams, it's the business of the team, like, you really don't know what you're talking about when you speculate. You're assuming things. So I'm here to tell you that a lot of the things that people say when they assume or make a Reddit post and say, oh, they have $300 million, why does the stream go down? Like, look, I mean, no amount of money can fix some of the issues that you have. You just have technical issues sometimes, right? Sometimes money can fix things, but not everything that you think money can fix is gonna be right. So there are a lot of situations that we're in that we do the best that we can with. We definitely spend money to try to make things as good as they can be, and we were prepared to do a lot of stuff at live events too, to spend a lot of money to make the experience for fans that were going to buy a ticket to come see us have a really, really good time, man. But that obviously couldn't happen. So just take it easy when you speculate on what's going on behind the scenes if you don't have the full picture.
I think
I'll tell you guys as much as I can on these podcasts, and I'll tweet about as much as I can and try to explain things. But just know that not all the details are there for you to know.
I think I'll take that one to heart, because I know I do an awful lot of it myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in that case, like, it's something I've spoken about today, right? Like, obviously, I do a lot of speculating, and I'm never an unopinionated person anyway. And even I, know that I do not know everything. There are times when I have to put a caveat saying, I assume this is why, and this may be why, but bear in mind, I don't have the full picture. And I think my takes are probably still better than some of the ones I've read even today, I saw a horrific take today that I had to tweet out about. People just thought they should just cut Europe and Australia loose in challenges, and that'll be it, because they wanted a bit more money in North America. And I'm like, well, that's probably one of the worst business takes I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing does happen an awful lot in this industry. But let's move on now, because we spoke about 5v5 to 4v4 and the ramifications of it, and you've set the record straight in kind of what happened behind the scenes. And I think that's what a lot of people wanted to hear from an official source such as yourself. So now a more personal issue with it. Clayster, obviously one of the most storied individuals in Call of Duty history, a legend in his own right, a guy probably well known now for having a roller coaster of a career. And obviously now he's gone on to another part of that roller coaster. Like, how difficult was it for you to come to a conclusion that, unfortunately, while he is as magnificent as he is, we have to move on in this way?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, it's like I don't know how to explain it. Um, we were like forced to make that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can say. Like, there's nothing else I can tell you about it other than we were forced to let go of one of our players. And when we had to sit there and talk about it as a team, and um, I'm not going to throw my players under the bus or anything like that. Like, we, I didn't make that decision by myself. I worked with my players to make that decision, and um, yeah, like, it's a horrible situation to be in. Probably the worst one. It's definitely one of the worst, if not the worst moment in my career. It's definitely the worst part of my job to have to tell a player, um, sorry, that they don't have a job with us anymore and that they have to move on, especially after that, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
we just won a world championship, and then 15 hours later have to tell the guy that he's not going to be playing for our team anymore. And um yeah, like, uh I'm trying to put it together here.
No, take your time. Take your time. Like I said, this is obviously a very hard subject. That's why we've kind of come on to talk about it.
Yeah, like he, it, yeah, I don't even know what to say right now. It's like, it pisses me off so much, man.
Let me follow up
Um,
then, and give you time to breathe with it. Obviously, it was the very first announcement of a player leaving any franchise, and and this is a speculation. I'm guessing that it happened so publicly and so quickly because you were giving him the biggest opportunity to move on and get him a spot in another team.
yeah, I mean, that's what we did. Like, dude, like, all these people, like, I can't even tell you guys how many people like tweeted like the most hateful things to me, man, over the
Yeah,
last few days, and like, you know, basically like ripping into me. And I mean, people, that's, it just goes again to like, sorry, like the speculation, like,
yeah,
um, people have, like, everybody just wants to, like, come to their own conclusion really quickly, and then they immediately take to Twitter because they're behind a keyboard and a monitor, and
yeah,
they can say whatever they want to somebody like me and blame me for it. But I have to take that heat. That's fine. I've done it for years. But yeah, like, uh we had to give him the most opportunity that he could get, and so to do that, we had to tell him right away. And um he's going to be fine, man. He's going to be just fine,
I
at the end of the day, and we know that. But like, um yeah, he should have been with us.
yeah, like I could tell just from the kind of how it all went down that this is obviously, and that's what I think, what I, because I see some of the abuse that gets thrown around on Twitter, right? Like, there was no, if this didn't happen, there was no way it would have been dropped. And I said in some videos before, like, there is no good option for the Empire right now. There is no winning from this scenario where you go, oh, we can change something about, because clearly don't want to. Who in their right mind in any professional thing would go, right, well, we've got a winning team that has just dominated in the final of the Call of Duty World League Championships. You know, we're going to get rid of somebody. And out of those players, you have a reason to keep every single one. Like, there is obviously reasons to keep every single player on that team, whether they be the young up and comers to just raw talent to obviously, multiple time world champions. And you have two of them, right? Let's not forget that, you had 2 3-time world champions. You've got, people who've got MVP in the league. And it's ridiculous to me that people thought that, you were going to somehow make this. It's what, because I tweeted you saying, it's, put 2 of them in a large coat because there's no real winning that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost, man. I mean, what can I tell you? We lost.
It's such a roller coaster for the Dallas Empire. It must be like the most mind blowing kind of combination of emotions, right? Because you set out this year with a goal. You accomplished that goal by and far to win the Call of Duty League, only to have it underpinned by essentially, and it does feel like a tragedy, of breaking up a winning roster who all, by the looks of, and we've seen the Crim interviews and we've seen the interviews after it, where, and I think one of the biggest things we saw from Crim, 2 things, was one, him talking about him winning, and he deserves to be called the greatest of all time. But the second, I think, was the MVP, because there was 2 MVPs this year. One went to Shotzi, one went to Crim, I believe, for the final. And Crim says, I'm going to cut that trophy in half because I don't deserve to win this whole MVP trophy and give the other half to Clay. And that speaks volumes about how much this team obviously just want to stay together. And, fate essentially has put them apart. It could be a Shakespeare novel if you had any idea about esports, right? It's like the most ridiculous twist to a storyline this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he deserved. I mean, like, we had 5 superstars on our team, man.
Yeah.
How do you choose to get rid of one?
Yeah.
It's like, and dude, like, there's going to be a piece of our team missing next year because of the hype and the leadership that he brought, to kind of boost up, his teammates. Like I said, I think I tweeted out, like, he's he was like the fuel, for our team. Like, he brings like so much fire and intensity, and yeah, that's like, it was like an integral piece of our team. Like, I've been doing this a long time, and like, I've been trying. The players chase their legacies, right?
Yeah.
But like, I'm chasing my legacy as a team owner. Like, I want to be the best team owner in the world, right? I'm trying to cement myself and our organization in the history books as the best organization in Call of Duty history. And I think we did that. I mean, we, with this win, I mean, like, we 5 out of 8 grand finals appearances, the only organization to have 2 world championships. I'm still sitting here as the owner of this organization, like, I'm still here. I've been through it all. And so when I put this team together, I made sure that I was putting in every little piece carefully. And yeah, I was talking to other players in the beginning of the season and like trying to work it out with other players. Our team could have looked different, but what I ended up with was a dream team, and I was the one who put it together. I took every little bit of feedback from Hook and the other players that we were getting on the roster to make sure that we were going to be prepared as a team for years to come. And then, like, when you take one of those pieces away, you have to almost like reassess like what you have, and the understanding that you have about your team is just different. And so, yeah, like, it's just tough. So I don't really need to say too much more, man.
No, I think a question I'm going to ask you, and I think it's an interesting one, and it's a slight change of topic, not too much. Are you a little bit worried about playing him next year?
I already told him when I tweet him, it's gonna be like, or when we play him, it's gonna be like, oh fuck, like, oh shit, we gotta play Clay's team. Oh shit, like, it's gonna be tough, man, because he's gonna be fired up and he's gonna want to win those games, and like that, we wanted that fire, on our side. So yeah.
It's going to be an interesting one, because obviously people are going to be like, yeah, Clay's beating the Empire, and you'll be like, we still kind of wanted him. He's like, he's still part of the Empire family. He still did amazing things for it, and I don't think it'll be one of these ones like a hostile sort of rivalry, but obviously the rivalry will always be there for Clay because he is a very passionate player.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're gonna miss him a lot, and I don't know. I probably annoyed the hell out of him the last few days, just calling him every day, because I just kept telling him like how much we love him, and obviously you're making me cry on the show already. So like, it's been, I think, 3 days I've gone by, or I haven't shed a tear over this. So it's tough, man. It's really tough. Like, I can't tell you guys how appreciative I am as an owner to the guys that helped me bring a championship home. It's we pour a lot of heart and soul into this, and it's not about money. Like, money, I have enough money, like, I'll be fine.
Uh-huh.
My family's fine, like, I'm gonna be okay. And it's about cementing a legacy. Like, it's really about um being the best that you can possibly be. We're competitors, and um I am for like eternally grateful for every player that helps me win championships.
Awesome. Well, I'll be honest with you. Mike, thanks for sharing that with us and with me. I said, I reached out to you, said, look, let's talk about it, because I feel like there is a discussion to be had around this subject, and I'm sure you'd like to kind of set the record straight and let people know exactly your feelings on the issue. And I think you've done more than that, if anything. So I can completely empathise with your position right now, and in saying that obviously it's a horrible thing, but it's something that had to be done. And I don't blame you. Like I said, for me, I understood that something like this was coming regardless, and there was no winning. But let's take a little move on now to a little bit lighter, where we talk about questions from the chat here. Anybody who wants to follow up with Stro, obviously put that in, and I've got a few already kind of coming in. Someone's asking, what's your relationship with Hugh like? He's been basically in the Envy franchise for years now.
Wait, sorry, what's the question?
What's your relationship with Hugh like? Because he's been with you for quite a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, like, Coop could have jumped ship a couple times, right? Like, I mean, I kept trying to give him the best possible players I could, and honestly, like, when we did make changes to the team, like, a couple years back, like, they were kind of the best scenarios, because other players were all locked up on other teams under contract, or we were doing the best that we could to try and put together a team around him to help win. But the guy's just been loyal, man. God, can't say enough about Hook. Like, he really trusted our organization to build with him.
Yeah.
Um, it was very difficult at times to explain to him that this was the right place for him and that I was going to help him win. But he trusted us, and yeah, like, look what we did. I mean, that's part of the emotion that's here right now, is that you know I wanted it. I wanted to keep Clay just as bad for him. Um, it was important for me to keep his team, the winning team, together around Kyler, because he's been here with us so long. So can't say enough about Hook.
Fair enough. I think that's a very good answer for it.
And by the way, I'll answer all these questions until I have to go one by one.
No problem.
Even if they're not questions, I see a few that are just mentions, and so I'll address them.
Some of them, I think, are not great questions. So I'll kind of sift through it and think.
Yeah.
Someone says, and this is something that I have spoken about before. So I would love to have it from you, because I actually had another team owner I won't mention come in my DMs to clarify on this, but I think publicly to clarify. Franchises signing players for a 2+1, as apparently 1+1 was across the board, but there is conflicting info here. And I think that's an interesting question, because I've heard of these multi-year deals, and I saw somebody even say they had a 3-year deal, and other people had, other deals. But I believe, and this is what I was told, is that what should have been the default contract, or the league enforced contract, from what I am aware of and was told, is a 1+1 should be pretty standard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can go into all full details, but what I can tell you is that all I can tell you is that our team is together for next year already, and we're definitely trying to sign long-term deals with our team, and we're trying to work that out with our players to keep everybody together, so they feel good and committed that these are their teammates for a long time. And then we'll address any issues that happen along the way if we have to. But our team outworked everybody, and I have full faith in them for many, many years. And so I'm going to open up the wallet again and try to make that happen. So yeah, that's all I can tell you. I don't know what the other teams' deals are with their players or whatever. I mean, I just don't. And so yeah, I mean, we're just focused on our team.
Okay,
and
awesome.
trying to put it together for a long time.
It's good to hear Dallas Empire in it for the long haul. Okay, next question. Any plans of picking up an academy team? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's tough, but there's nothing that I would love to do more than to support like a tier 2 team, to just support more talent and have more talent in our pipeline. It's something we're thinking about and talking about, but not currently like budgeted for. It would have to be an opportunity that makes sense to us, and right now I don't think it does. Um, but that's not to say that we wouldn't do that in the future.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think that's fair enough. This next one's kind of weird, and I don't know whether I should have skipped it. Probably should have. Not a question, but they were saying about doing some sort of limited edition merch for Clayster, and I think maybe the better question is doing. Are you
Yeah, I
doing
saw that
something?
from Miner. Yeah.
Yeah, anything like
Um,
limited edition coming out of the Empire to celebrate the
I'll
win?
I'll throw the idea out to him today.
Uh huh.
But the problem that we're probably gonna run into is that he's probably gonna end up on another team really quickly.
Yeah.
And so we obviously can't do much in that regard, but maybe we could help him with the relationship with our the company that makes our apparel and stuff, that to help him get that out there, and we can help do that legwork before we let him go, and so that way he at least has that source of revenue for him.
Okay, fair enough. The next question. Apart from the two champs your team has won, which other win has been your favourite? They highlight the Ghost run. That wasn't actually a win. That was just the loser bracket run in Ghosts.
Yeah, honestly, so like, all right, look, yeah, obviously when we won the world championship, that would be the other one. But if I can't use that one, just the specific map was in that championship run where we went from losers round one
Yeah.
all the way to the grand final. That was a fun tournament. I believe that roster was Rambo, Merc, Nameless, and Study.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
believe
Because
that was right.
it was just after the Battle of the Blue.
Yeah. Well, we played Strictly Business,
Uh-huh.
and they were like, one of the better teams too. We were playing loser bracket. I don't know if you guys remember this, but we 6-0'd them in an S&D. Do you remember that?
I think
And
I don't.
they
I think
didn't get a kill until round 6.
Jesus.
They got one kill the entire S&D. So it was like all of their players were literally like 06, 06, 06, 06, 1 and 6. And it was like just the sickest S&D. I mean, it was the most dominating S&D of all time. So like that map right there was like pure dominance and probably the most fun for me to ever watch. I don't think an S&D has been that lopsided ever in the history of COD. It's that one. So go back and watch that. That was Ghosts, Call of Duty World Championship, COD Champs, Ghost, and it was in loser bracket, Envy versus Strictly Business, Envious versus Strictly Business.
I
Go
think.
watch that S&D map. I mean, it was ridiculous. We ran them over. It was hilarious. And so, yeah, I was really proud, really
Okay.
proud to get that win. It was fun.
I'm gonna have to go back to it. I would really like to see some sort of content come out that celebrates those past years. Maybe like a long cut of here are a dozen great games from this year, from this year, from this year. Because you go back and people only remember like 2 or 3 games unless you talk to the people who were actually involved in it. Going all the way back. And I've always thought, the Call of Duty history is so rich and the rivalries are so deep that there is a ton of content that has just been left in the past. Like you need to go look at it because some of these players have been fighting for 10 years to get wins over
Yeah.
each other, and it's been a
Yeah.
roller coaster. And
Yeah.
speaking of which, the next question I quite like it because somebody asked a question about the young trio, and you've already answered that, I think, adequately in the last one. I think, are there plans to step up the YouTube content for Dallas Empire this year?
Hmm. I mean, we've done a good bit. I mean, it's tough because we're a big organization.
Uh-huh.
We're one of the largest organizations in the world. We field more competitive teams than most organizations do, and so we're pretty spread thin. And our content, it's never really been the biggest focus for us because we just want to win, mostly, and that's been my kind of my pillar of the team. But our new CEO Adam Reimer is awesome. He comes from a major digital media and content world, and he comes from that space, and Hollywood and that sort of place. So we're expanding our content team under Adam, and he's taking the reins on that. So I think you're going to see a lot of cool content coming out, probably a little bit more.
Awesome.
Obviously, we're going to try and do as much of the team as we can, but a lot of it's dictated by the players, to be honest,
Yeah.
right? Like, we didn't want to bother our players. Like, the reason we won this world championship is because we were so focused on winning it, right?
Yeah.
Like, the whole team was working hard. They actually requested that they do no media content for like the last 3 months.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like a lot of it, like the last two and a half months, about like we literally stopped creating much content with them because we wanted them to focus. And so a lot of it is dominated by our players. Like, it's their decision to do the content, and we respect that. So, yeah, like we really tried to limit the amount of content we create if our team desires that, and so they did. And yeah, that's why you don't see a lot of content sometimes. It's because we want our players to focus, and we're giving them what they want.
Yeah, that's fair. That kind of makes sense, I think, for to concentrate along that way because I know there was a good amount of content coming out at the beginning, and that now you say there's been 3 months. Like That makes sense. That
Yeah,
kind
well, I
of,
mean, there's a reason those
yeah,
teams that create content every day don't win championships because they're spending their time fucking making content. You know, like
yeah,
look, if you want to watch if you're interested in watching your team lose and make content, great.
yeah.
If you're interested in watching your team win, you're gonna get less content. I mean, that's just the way it works.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And it kind of runs on to this next question. Someone asking about a documentary video or a highlight video of this year, I think would be more apt. Whether or not Empire had any plans in kind of that way to come out now that the season's over.
Say that again.
People are asking about either like a documentary style video or probably what I think would be more realistic is like a highlights of this year video produced by the Empire to tell the story of this win.
Um, we're working on some things like that.
Okay.
I can't guarantee that we'll have something out like that, but there are a couple things that we haven't talked about just yet that um, that we'll have docu series content built around. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm hopeful we can do something that will document the full season. Um, but COVID made it so tough, man.
Yeah.
We definitely would have done it had we had our live events and we were on the road. Like we had, had our videographer like on the road with the guys already throughout the season. But it's definitely much tougher now because the content is us playing from our office or from the players' houses. It's like it's not that exciting. But um, yeah, we'll see what we can put together.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. This next question is a great one, and I don't know how many more minutes I've got you for, Stro. Probably only a few. Um, what are your thoughts on challenges and how it can be improved next year, and how do teams generally scout it?
Yeah, I mean, we watched the matches. I mean, we were watching the players, watching the matches, watching VOD to scout. What can be improved? I mean, awesome prize pool that got put out there
Yeah.
for challengers this year. I mean, look, that's a really big prize pool considering that the best players in the world are most of them are in the COD League. Maybe there were a few challengers teams that could have competed in the COD League. I think there are. Even Krim, said that himself. Like, definitely the top three challengers teams could have competed with the bottom three COD League teams and were
Yeah.
probably better. But that's not on me. That's on the other owners to scout those players and make sure that they don't let that happen.
Oh, you're sorted. You don't
Um,
need to do any scouting. You're like, yeah, we got our team.
yeah, I mean we're good right now, but we're still scouting. It doesn't mean we're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like we're looking. That doesn't mean that the players on our team don't have pressure. They do. Like they have to continue to be great players and hard workers and compete. But we feel good about the team that we have, and I will say that I will do as whatever I can to support tier two as an owner in the league, and I'm always constantly pushing to say that we need to support that scene, and that's a big part of what we do. I think next year we have to do some kind of broadcast component
Yeah.
for challengers and make sure that we're creating streams around challengers in whatever way that we can to let people see that competition because there are great players there.
Yeah. No, I could agree more. I mean, it's an interesting one to the point where I'm halfway through scripting a video about challenges and improvements and what went well and what didn't go well for this coming up. But it's such an over encompassing topic, right? Because everybody goes, oh, we can just fix this or fix this. And I'm like, well, there's levels to it. There's like so many levels business wise to why challenges the way it is and what they could do and what could happen. So I'm like, I understand like when I see people just go, oh, why don't they just broadcast the whole thing? I'm like, well, because that is not cheap. I agree that it should have its broadcast. I said, but bear in mind what you're saying. You're spending other people's money here, right? It is not something that can just be run up in 4 seconds. Let's have a look. Someone's asking about the format for next year, and I don't think you can answer this because nothing official's come out yet. But I think it's more about the event format, and obviously this is the home stands, and this is a very different format for Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let the league announce all of that.
Uh-huh.
It's not really my place to do it, but yeah, we should have an announcement I think from the league soon to talk about that. I don't know when they plan on talking about the full details of the
Yeah.
league, but look, all I can tell you is that it's going to be exciting. I mean, this year was insane. The matches were the closest I've ever seen matches get played. How many game fives did we have this year? I mean, it's crazy. The number of game fives in the matches so competitive, and that's what happens when you consolidate the skill into 12 teams. Um, and I think next year is going to be the same. It's even more consolidated now, the
Uh-huh.
talent in the league. So The matches are going to be insane. I can't tell you the exact format just yet, but I do know some of the plans, and I can tell you guys right now that next year is going to be nuts, nuts, nuts,
Awesome.
nuts. Yeah,
Awesome, awesome
crazy
to hear. I'm
actually.
looking forwd to it. I always look forward to the
Yeah,
esports reveals every year. Every year I look forward to it because I'm like, oh, I kind of want to know what's happening, and then speculation goes wild. All right, let's kind of start wrapping this up. I think there's maybe one more question which isn't too bad. People are asking, can they have some replays of the game with the whole squad comms in the off season? Like they want to see some of the big games. They want to see some squad comms. Obviously,
yeah.
some of it has to probably be bleeped. But because
Oh, we don't bleep. We don't bleep, Bricey. What? We don't bleep at the Dallas Empire. No, we do sometimes, but we haven't been bleeping past couple weeks. I mean, we've been letting it go. Um, it is what it is, man. Like we have comms from the whole from our matches in the World Championship. We have all of our comms, including me and Ray, flipping out because that's how we recorded them. We were all in the team speak together, me, Ray, and the 5 players. And yeah, I mean, it was. You guys heard a little bit of it on Twitter. If you haven't, go look at Clayster's Twitter or my Twitter, and you can hear some of the reactions that we had.
Oh, I saw it. It's
But
good.
there was a lot more in there too. There were moments like, like the Ninja Diffuse. I think Clay tweeted out his viewpoint of that with the comms.
Yeah.
Like there was that moment where we had that like 2v5 Ender and Clay got like a 2v5. That was nuts. Like there were all these crazy moments that happened where we were all just going nuts. And so um we'll put out some more of that stuff. Our content team's working on that. They're trying to sync up the gameplay with the comms and get it out there to everybody.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for giving me your time, Mike. I know obviously it's
Yeah,
been a very
always.
busy time for you, but any last words for the people watching and listening?
No, man, just big thank you to anybody that was cheering on the Empire and sending us positivity and love. You guys really, really showed that we have a fan base out there, and it helps to get our team fired up, knowing that we're playing for people, and you're all part of our family too. So if you're supporting Dallas Empire, and even if you're not, big thanks to watching the league this year. The only way we grow this thing and make it better is if you guys watch and engage and tweet it out and give love. So that's the only way we make it work, man. So big shout out to all of you, man. It's bring another tear to my eye with all the crowns in the chat. Oh, there's some routers in the chat too. Yeah, put those in there. But yeah, no, big shout out to all you guys in the chat right now. Even though there are about 60 of you in here, those are 60 important people. So
Awesome.
big shout out.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Like I said, I know it's a busy week, and I know this is some difficult topics that we've gone through, but I always enjoy talking Call of Duty to you, Astro, and I've known you for a long time, and I have no doubt I will ask you to come on again in the future because, like I said, so much knowledge and so much history just with yourself and the
Man.
Empire.
Well, we've both been doing it a long time, man. So thanks to you for having me, and
No
keep doing what you're doing, Bricey.
Thank you very much. All right. Well, that has been the Bricecast. Thank you, everybody, tuning in and going in the chat. The VODs will be up soon. If you're listening on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, you can catch those. I'll have the VODs out very shortly. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next time.